fresh white house. The roof gleams under the morning sun. Under it, 9 people, a father, a mother, and 7 children. And 30 paces behind the house, at the end of a path worn through the grass, stands a wooden shed with a crescent moon cut into the door. Not a single pipe. Not a drop of running water. And here's what you need to understand from the very first second: in this house, in 2026, there is not one single toilet. Not because they can't afford it. Because they chose it that way. Look at your water bill. The average family pays around $1,000 a year just to flush. Every push of that lever sends several liters of clean drinking water down the drain, the kind of water that, in some places on Earth, is worth more than gold. You pay every month and never even notice. They don't pay a single cent. And they've lived this way, on their own land, for more than 100 years. They know something you don't. My name is Amos. I grew up among these people. I ate at their tables. I stood in their yards in the freezing cold. And I'm going to tell you what the outside world has stopped talking about. This is about the strictest branch of the Amish. They're called the Swartzentrubers, named after the elders who, in 1913, in the hills of Ohio, broke away from the rest and said, no further. No electricity. No rubber tires. No pressurized water in the house. And no toilet. I'm going to show you 6 reasons why a family in a brand new house chooses the freezing cold over a warm bathroom. Almost none of them costs $1. And you'll hear how it works, not in theory, but in real life. And the last one, the reason this video exists, is something the modern world has understood exactly backward. Upside down. Stay to the end, it's precisely the thing we've stopped being taught. 5 in the morning. January. 12 below zero outside. The house is warm from the wood stove, the children asleep under 3 blankets each. The father gets up, pulls on his boots, takes a kerosene lantern, and walks down the frozen path to that shed. Past the warm kitchen. Past the spot where you or I would have a bathroom. Why? Why would a man who built this house with his own hands not run one simple pipe into it? I asked an old man this question, one who still remembered the split himself. He didn't smile. He said, a pipe is a rope. You think you're bringing water into the house. But what you're really doing is tying the house to something outside, to the water main, to the pumping station, to a treatment plant 20 miles away, to a company that will send you a bill. A toilet isn't a convenience. It's a little door, and it opens outward, into the very world they've kept themselves apart from for 100 years. Their ordnung simply states, this does not enter the house. And behind the plainness of that rule lies exactly this idea about the rope. Refusing the toilet isn't about filth, and it isn't about poverty. It's about what you let inside your walls. To them, the house is not a crossroads, not a junction where other people's lines all come together. The house is the last room the world has no entrance to. Run one pipe in, and a hole opens in the wall through which everything else can reach in from outside. That's why they keep their walls sealed. But if the pipe is a tether, where do they get their water? Let's walk to the well behind the house. There's an iron column there, a hand pump, painted, touched with rust in places. A woman in a dark dress and a white cap works the lever, and the water comes into the bucket in surges, in the rhythm of her arm. Not from a tap. Not under pressure. From beneath the earth, by the strength of her own muscles. There's no meter here, because there's no line to measure. In your home, water arrives through a pipe that someone else is responsible for. The pump at the station goes down, you've got nothing. The rate goes up, you pay. You're not the owner of your water, you're a tenant. But they have a well on their own land, and a pump that gets fixed with a hammer and a wrench. No one shuts it off, no one raises the price, no one sends a letter. The old man told me, we don't want to depend on any lever but our own. That's the whole point, right there. Whatever enters your house through someone else's pipe doesn't belong to you. You only get to use it as long as they allow it. Every morning that woman knows exactly where her water came from and by whose hand it was raised. Out of your tap, water arrives from nowhere, out of the wall, out of a mystery, out of someone else's decision. Hers comes from her own hand. But since they draw their own water, a third question arises, the most uncomfortable one: what happens to what goes out? Noon. Past the gardens, to the far edge of the field, where the thing polite company doesn't like to talk about is hidden away. For them, everything that leaves the human body doesn't float off down a pipe, paid for, to a treatment plant, and doesn't dissolve into a river. It comes back, to the compost heap, under old straw, under sawdust, and in a year or two back into the same black soil that feeds their wheat and their corn. The circle closes. Nothing is thrown away. Now count what your toilet actually does. It takes several liters of the purest drinking water and carries off the very thing the earth has waited on for centuries as fertilizer. You pay twice, for the water you waste, and then for the bag of fertilizer at the store, to put back into the soil exactly what you just flushed away. The Swartzentrubers see this as pure waste. To them the earth is not a dump and not a faucet, but a living ring, and man is inside the ring, not above it. That's how peasants did it for thousands of years, long before the first sewer pipe. The modern house is built like a straight line: take, use, throw away, pay. Their house is built like a ring. And it holds together not on pipes and not on machinery, but on the thing the old man at the well named in a single word. Here I'm going to stop for a second and ask you directly. Could you do it? Honestly. Tomorrow you wake up and there's no toilet in the house, no tap, no water bill, but also none of that warm button you've been used to since the day you were born. How long would you last? A day, a week, a winter? Write one word in the comments: how long? A day. A week. Or, never in a million years. I'm genuinely curious. Because what's at stake here is bigger than a shed in the yard. Here's what's at stake: who's really the master of your house, you, or the people who send you the bills? Hold that question in your head. From here on, it only gets sharper. Past midday comes the fourth reason, the one almost no one on the outside understands. Their rejection of the toilet isn't only about money, and it isn't only about the land. It's about a line. About the border between their world and ours. They call it separation, being in the world but not part of it. Every object that enters the house from the modern world punches a tiny hole in that border. A wire. A pipe. A screen. And through each one seeps in the thing that erodes their way of life. The toilet seems like a trifle. But everything else trails behind it. For it to work, you need pressurized water, you need sewage, you need a pump, the pump needs electricity, the electricity needs wires from the power company, the wires need a meter, a bill, a dependence. And there you are, already 1 foot in the very world your great-grandfathers deliberately walked away from. They saw this before we did, let in one convenient pipe, and through it, step by step, everything else will follow. That's why they draw the line where it seems strange to everyone else. Right at the bathroom door. And that line of theirs isn't drawn only around the house, it's drawn around the very speed of life. Here's the fifth reason, and it's about the road. Look at their wagon. No rubber tires, no leaf springs, no springs under the seat, wooden wheels with steel rims, and every stone in the road rings straight up through your spine. Other Amish softened the ride long ago. The Swartzentrubers didn't. Not because they never thought of it. Because a smooth, fast, easy road is a temptation to travel farther from home, to be in town more often and at your own table less. A jolting wagon keeps a person close to his own land. A slow road isn't backwardness. It's a fence set across the temptation to race away. And it was on that very road that their line collided with our world head-on. By law, a slow-moving wagon must display a bright orange reflective triangle on the back. A trifle, you'd think. But the Swartzentrubers dug in. A loud, garish sign is pride, it's trusting a piece of plastic instead of God, it's one more thing from another world nailed to their wagon. They offered gray reflective tape and a lantern, visible, but without the shouting symbol. And for that they were put on trial. Fined. Jailed, old men in straw hats, for refusing to hang up a triangle. The case went all the way to the highest courts in the country. Think about how far the principle goes. A man is willing to go behind bars, not for land, not for money, not for his life, for the right not to hang a triangle on a cart. From the outside it looks like stubbornness over nothing. But there's no nothing here. The triangle and the toilet are about the same thing, where the line runs between yourself and the world, and who draws it, you, or someone on the outside. Refusing the triangle and refusing the pipe grow from the same root. Give in on a small thing on the wagon, and you give in on a small thing in the house, and everything is built out of small things. From here comes the sixth reason, simple and heavy as a stone. Freedom from the bill. This family has no monthly water payment. No sewage payment. No debt for simply existing on their own land. While you and I work part of every month just to pay for the pipes coming into our homes, they owe nobody anything. The land is theirs. The water is theirs. The labor is theirs. And the day ends the same way it began, everything under this roof belongs to the people who live under it. Evening falls. The kerosene lantern lights up in the kitchen window, a warm yellow point in the blue Ohio dusk. The children did their homework by that light, dinner was cooked over wood, and tomorrow it all repeats, the well, the field, the jolting road, the ring. And now I'll lay out for you the thing you came all this way for. The thing the modern world has understood exactly backward. We look at the shed in the yard and think, how backward, how poor, how inconvenient. We're certain the toilet is a step forward, and a hole in the ground is a step back. And here's where the world has it wrong, upside down. The toilet is the most tethered object in your house. No other thing binds you to the outside world so tightly. Running to it is a water main from a station you've never seen. Leaving it is a sewer line to a plant you never think about. Behind it stands a meter, a rate, a company, and a bill that will come whether you want it or not. You own the house, but you don't own what comes in and what goes out. And they do. And now all the reasons click into a single picture. It was never about the toilet. It was about the pipe, and about what it ties you to. Refusing the plumbing, the hand pump, the ring of the land, the line of separation, the slow road and the gray tape instead of the triangle, the freedom from the bill, these aren't 6 quirks. It's one idea, turned to show 6 of its faces. Nothing foreign will enter this house or cling to this wagon deeply enough to become our master. The world laughs, savages without a toilet. But it isn't savagery and it isn't backwardness, it's the most consistent answer on earth to one single question: where do you draw the line between yourself and the world? We stopped asking that question long ago. They haven't stopped asking it for a single day. They aren't 100 years behind us. They refused a deal the rest of us signed without reading, convenience in exchange for dependence. Every step forward of ours was one more pipe, one more wire, one more bill, one more thread by which someone outside holds us. At every one of those forks, they said no, and stayed masters of everything under the roof. They chose the cold path to the shed in the freezing cold, and complete power over their own lives. The whole picture in a single breath. A new White House. 30 paces to a wooden door with a crescent moon. A well pumped by hand. A ring that gives the earth back its own. A jolting wagon with no springs, and gray tape where the world demands a loud sign. The line right at the threshold. And not a single bill in the mailbox. Not poverty. A choice. And now, the one simplest thing you can do. Don't dig a hole in your yard, don't worry. Tonight, pick up your water bill and find the number, how many liters of clean drinking water you sent straight down the drain this month. See it once, and you can't unsee it. Then look around your house and count how many threads run out through your walls to the outside, how many other people's levers your simple, warm, comfortable life is tied to. An answer from your own head, not from Google. How long would you last without that button? A day, a winter, or not a single morning? Write it. I read them. And next time, I'll take you somewhere outsiders are almost never allowed. To the dolls with no faces. The rag dolls their children play with, no eyes, no nose, no mouth, smooth cloth where a little face should be. And behind that is a reason that will send a chill down your spine, because it isn't about toys at all. But that's another story. I'm Amos. And now you know it too.